So yeah, we're
Cool.
good to go.
We're live. All
Sweet.
right.
I feel like I need artwork
Well,
behind me.
yeah,
Yeah, we'll put
work on
that
the
in post
backdrop.
production.
Yeah.
We'll put you on a different planet. Well, just like your background currently, Jeremy, nothing is permanent, and that's what we're here to talk about, right? Is a podcast about the lack of permanency, the lack
Oh,
of things being permanent, because just like life, nothing lasts. My name is Ben Shaw. I'm here on I don't even one of the co-hosts of Nothing's
yeah.
Permanent. I got
What do we
Dr.
call it?
Jeremy Miller. Yeah, co-hosting. Dr. Jeremy Miller. We're going to dive into your your doctrines and your PhDs here in a little bit. And then what Forrest? What you are a man in the chair, right? You're the guy who the pilot, the one that keeps the ship from crashing into the wall.
Yeah, that's right.
When
That's me.
when we originally started talking about wanting to do a podcast, it was because we have a plethora of people that we engage with, a plethora of people that we talk to, and a lot of information that a lot of tattoo artists could utilize. And it stimulated this desire to also create this like speaking event, this speaking summit, we keep calling it. And guys, we were chatting last week or the week prior about getting ready for this. We were talking about what's the purpose of this podcast, and what's it going to serve, and what's its mission. And I think we kind of landed on something unique, that this was just going to be a temporary vehicle to get people to an event next year, right? Get people to the New Mexico Tattoo Fiesta Speaking Summit, something that's uh, an event that will terminate this sucker. So I feel like it's kind of a unique prospect in that this is just a pilot, a beta, means to try and drive people to something by taking them on a journey.
Yeah.
We had kind of talked about bringing some people in, talking about some people we want to have speak. I mean, what we want to bring these people in because we agree that they're, filled with useful information, stuff that artists could utilize. Correct?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And I think it's important to point out though, like I've had a lot of people, everybody that I've asked about this and said, "Hey, are you interested?" Everybody seems to want to know, like, where's the money? Like, where are we making our money off of it? And when I explained to them that no, like this is not like this is just for fun for us because we really love this industry and we love what we do. We care about the craft and we care about the people in it, and so we're wanting to do this not as a thing to grow a podcast to get millions of viewers and get paid by Spotify or YouTube or whatever, but really just to talk and get us up to this event where everybody gets to kind of be in the same room and listen to some people that really have good knowledge that we don't have. So I think there's
I
value
mean, you
in it. I
get
think it's really
paid for
important.
podcasts.
Oh
That's a
yeah,
thing.
not me, not me. Uh,
Uh, no, I
yeah,
appreciate
no.
you saying that because
I mean, I
yeah,
think I think it's really important though that we really point out right off the bat, we're not here to try and sell something. We're not here to try and get a million views or listens or whatever and make money off of this. It is not for that purpose. Yeah, the purpose of it really is to get tattooers to come together to gain knowledge from one another, kind of in ways that we don't already understand or don't understand yet. So
yeah, no, 100%. I mean, I'm a firm believer. I'm sure you guys are too. That the giving out value, right? Give out, give out as much as you can, right? When we try to have some sort of purpose behind it, or means, or a desire to get something from it, then it becomes tainted.
yeah,
And I don't know, man. I feel like we can kind of eyeball that and see that pretty quickly. People kind of
yeah.
pick up
It
on
reminds
that.
me of
I
just
think.
it makes me think of just the tattoo process in general, right? Like if
Hmm.
like yeah, we do tattoos for money because that's our careers, it's our jobs. We have to pay our bills. But when it becomes about making the money, that's when the creativity dies. Our work tends to suffer. Our clients tend to go away, and the employees at our shops all quit, and like life starts to suck because we became so focused on what can I get out of this thing rather than the idea of the reason I got into it in the first place was to create something. So if we keep the focus on the creation like this, then good things come. If we switch it to what can I get out of it, we go down. So it's quite simple.
Well, I'll be, yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, definitely no monetary gain. I mean, I'll get out of hanging out with some friends and shooting shit. And I think we've got, some cool concepts and some cool people we're going to bring on board because they have skill sets outside of just tattooing. I think the value that people would get out of this, not to mention just the lead up to an event, is to learn all the other angles of the tattoo business for them to make money, right? So they can continue to do it and create things. And, as you know, Jeremy and Forrest, even though you're not a tattoo artist, you're very probably more versed in the tattoo industry than most. It's not about just sin and skin. It's not just about needle to the flesh, right? There's so much more, so much around that. And I mean, I think we're talking, I know Matt Hodel is really interested. He is the leader of Jackpot Tattoo Community, right? It's like another online space, similar to other online spaces that are, well, no longer around, like Launchpad. But it's a community that's really just built to kind of help tattooers identify their weak points, help bridge gaps, and for him to offer advice from an experienced vantage point. You guys know Matt, right? You've been engaged with him quite a bit.
Oh yeah, and I'll tell you that Matt, just from my perspective, I think has this great inner desire. He has this intrinsic drive to just reach more people. And I know a lot of tattooers do, but with Matt, it's all about he sees the value of the community and wants to bring everybody together as much as possible. And I've talked with Matt a bunch of times about the importance of being able to charge for the things you're doing. Like, yes, you should be able to make some money because you're not able to tattoo when you're focused on this thing, right? So you should be able to make some money. And the idea of that with him always seems to just kind of sit wrong because he wants to be able to just give it all away. Although you can't, right? Like, you have to pay your bills. The wife gets very mad when the bills don't get paid. Like, for me, I would sleep on a couch if I need to, but no. Like, my wife wants to have a house. The kids need rooms, so we got to pay the bills. But for Matt, he seems to want to give that information away as much as possible because he's got that intrinsic value in just helping the community of artists. So I can't wait to hear what he has to say when I'm sitting back and listening to him, not the other way around. So yeah.
Oh yeah, man, he's a good dude. I met Matt, I don't know, back in 2005 or 6. He was a totally different person, and I'd love to let him tell his story. But I mean, physically a different human being, mentally, spiritually, substance wise, right? He was a crazy mofo and lived that pirate lifestyle, lived the tattooer way, and kind of. I think at one point he said he kind of lifted his head up and realized that he had gotten nowhere, right? Got good at tattooing, but nothing to show for it beyond that. And but yeah, I'd love to let him kind of share that tale because I think we would love to have him speak at the speakings at the summit right next year.
Yeah.
He'd be a great addition. And I mentioned briefly that we've kind of dived into somebody else, but we kind of dive into us a little bit too, just so those who are listening kind of have more working knowledge of us. That way, they want to know if they want to pay attention any longer. But I want to talk about our man in a chair real quick because I mentioned a pre-existing like an online platform called Launchpad, which Forrest, you were the administrator for. You did an amazing job. You were the community manager. you were able to steer that ship, which, I mean, steering a pilot platform out into choppy ocean sea or choppy waters, in the open ocean. What I was saying, brother, is you were able to take a ship that had never been built before, or at least not in that concept or context in that manner, and we're able to help steer it into stormy seas, right, on the choppy waters, and help it at least find a horizon line. We're sailing to it for a time, right, and just and then switching to another analogy, but just like coming through the door for the first time, the ship or the person through that door took the bullets, right? So you learned a lot of lessons from that, and I feel like that experience really taught you a lot about our industry. Not to mention you already covered in amazing tattoos. So Forrest,
Yeah, better than the
give us
rest
a
of
little
us.
bit of background, brother. Yeah, I know. I need more. I need more work. You got better work than I do.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of more my my resume is like I wear it under here. Like I'm always just like, oh yeah, that's what I feel like. Yeah, might as well just like. But yeah, that's I got yeah. So me, I've just sort of always been. I'm like a tattoo collector at heart. Really, that's what I am under everything. Like Ben was saying, I was working with Tattoo Smart, had launched Launchpad. Have experience like managing a studio, but really it all stemmed just from tattoo collecting and just being in love with tattooing at the heart of it all. Really, I definitely had a fortunate start. Got off on the right foot and met a really good like artist, both like artistically and just like as a human. Like yeah, his name's Brian Geckel. He was like an artist local to me. He's done a ton of work on me, and yeah, he just really like kind of welcomed me and. He could. I was definitely like interested and eager to learn more about tattooing. I was 18 and like super stoked, getting my first tattoos and learning about it, just getting exposed. And I could have gone to some like street shop, had a terrible experience, and like had that whole way. But instead, I got to know Brian, and he told me about like other artists and like conventions and just the community at large. And from there, I was just like, I don't know, just dove really deep and. So yeah, by the time I graduated college, I was like all in on tattooing, starting my leg sleeve, well, getting tattooed rather, I guess, collecting. So yeah, I just really went I guess, dove head first right into it,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, since then I haven't really looked back. Like I graduated college, got really into tattoo collecting, started going to conventions all over the country, and then from there I was like, well, I hate spending time in this office during my job, and I'm miserable 2/3 of the time, and I love when I'm out like getting tattooed or like on Instagram trying to find like the next big artist to follow and be a fan of and stuff like that. So like early on in life, I was like, well, I'm just going to change my trajectory now, dive into something that I love and actually be able to like fully invest myself that way. So yeah, that's kind of where I've been like figuring out my way in all of this since then. Like I said, I managed a studio for a little while. And then got connected with Russ and was working at Tattoo Smart. Worked sort of just part of the team for a while, and then Launchpad became like my full focus, and that's how I got connected with you guys. And it's really, like you said, blown up. I learned a shitload through that experience, and yeah, it was amazing. Good, bad, ugly, like amazing. Like it was a great experience to learn really quickly too. Like that's the thing. It lasted about a year and. There was like the building phase, which was kind of slow and strategic, but once we launched and like got to connect with members like you guys and all the other people who were a part of it, it was just a lot of like, I don't know, a lot of cool information and ideas and just like trying to move forward. And yeah, and that's kind of like I'm excited that like we've been able to spark that kind of movement of like, oh, well, now there is this exchange of ideas and connections and yeah, so Launchpad's over now. I'm sure they all know the story, but that momentum is still rolling, and yeah, that's kind of what's going on here in the room.
Yeah,
Hey,
no, I
want
love
to
it.
just point out. I want to just point out real quick that like, even though there was some controversy around, I'm sure we'll talk about this stuff at some point, but there was controversy. But Launchpad, at a time when there's a lot of like things that suck about the industry, let's just be frank about that. There's a lot of things that are going a direction that we don't like, and really like make me sad from a tattooer perspective. But Launchpad came in and reinvigorated the idea of community among artists and bringing us together. And someone like yourself who is not an artist, so if you got out of something like that and got your desk job, the community, the industry wouldn't have an impact from you. You'd be a collector, you'd be a client. But
Totally.
instead, Launchpad was there to kind of help guide us into like what a good future could look like where we work together. And you were part of that, man. And it's awesome. Even when I did an interview with Russ, and you helped me to get it all set up, it was awesome. It made it. It's not my skill set, so it really made it a lot easier to be able to work with somebody like you. So I appreciate it.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's definitely been the struggle of like how does a
have you here too, Forrest, because
Yeah.
just like Jeremy
man.
said, I mean, even just navigating this platform is not always in our tattooers. We spend a lot of time. Well, I spend a lot of time tattooing and such. Jeremy's trying to get like 1900 degrees. I mean, trying to go for an engineering degree. We'll talk about it in a second. But no, Forrest, I think it's going to be invaluable for people listening or watching this to want to get your perspective, because you are the perfect client, right? You are the perfect client that we all want, because you care about tattooing, you care about the tattoo artists, and you, like you said, you get excited about looking for tattoo artists to follow, looking for tattoo artists to engage with. Like, that's what we want, right? As clients who love and appreciate the craft and what we do and who we are, and investing in quality, raising that watermark. You're the one that pushes us to go to that next level. So I know getting your perspective on tattooing is going to be huge. Simultaneously, your knowledge with Launchpad, the good, the bad, the ugly, like you said, I mean, that's going to be great for everyone to learn those little tidbits and secrets, and that 10,000 foot, slightly outside of the industry perspective that we don't see because we're in it, right? And I think you're going to, like I said, bring another level of knowledge that's just going to be, I don't think you know how much value you're going to bring to this conversation and everyone we bring in here.
I'm
And
just happy to
I think
be
everyone we talk to, you've engaged with, probably hosted and helped manage at some point. So it's going to be like hanging out with homies.
here. Yeah,
Mr.
exactly.
So I started off Dr. PhD, but I know it's I don't know if it's a PhD because it's not physical. It's a doctor of sorts, but
That's right.
so just a little intro. Jeremy's my business coach too. We met on Launchpad, right?
We did.
It was
we
cool.
did.
It was I got to know you through, well, initially Launchpad, and then through the business coaching, and that's turned into more of like a friendship and a camaraderie. And I'm not gonna steal your thunder about your background, but from there I've learned a lot of value from you. And I will say, when I first, the Dr. Jeremy Miller was like, like, what's the doctor doing here, but it's not just not a physical doctor, it's a doctor of other things. So give us your resume, sir.
Yeah, man. Well, dude, it's similar to everything with Forrest. Like the idea that Launchpad was there to kind of connect us, right? Bring kindred spirits together. In my opinion, it was extremely valuable because I got to meet people that really reinvigorated my passion for tattooing, and reminded me of why I got into it to begin with. I've been tattooing for 20 years. I own a shop in Austin called Pigment, Austin, Texas. We've been here for about 14 years, but I now tattoo about 1 or 2 days a week. I specialize in just stupid, goofy cartoon tattoos. They're amazing, and I love every minute of it because they're just fun. I don't want to do serious stuff. I want to do stuff that people laugh at when they see it, and stuff that people just smile. Right? That to me brings a lot of joy. So I really enjoy that. But in addition to that, I also, yes, I do have a PhD. I have an MBA and a PhD in industrial and organizational psychology. So, no, I'm not a medical doctor, but I am a doctor of psychology. So that's kind of cool sometimes. But if you say, is there a doctor in the house? No, that's not me. I can't help you. I probably screw up CPR. But, yeah, I still do have the doctorate, so it's cool. But I also own a coaching and consulting company. I do some business coaching for tattoo shop owners, as well as other industries, but really I'm trying to kind of align to helping this industry more. But I do what's called process management system auditing. So all these companies around the world have these certificates that they voluntarily apply for. I go into these companies and say, yes, you can have your certificate, essentially doing inspections for things like quality management, environmental health and safety management, aerospace management, and now more recently, it's cosmetics manufacturing, and we're actually working with tattoo ink manufacturers to help them get certified to the standard to show that they're meeting requirements for new laws, signaling to the FDA that FDA can be confident that they are ensuring safety substantiation throughout their entire line of products to make sure that the general public is safe. So I go in from the inspector side some days of the week, and the rest of the days of the week I'm doing the creative fun stuff where I get to wear a t-shirt. So yeah, so my life's nuts. It's all over the place.
Awesome.
I got 5 kids. My wife's mad that I'm not home enough.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff. Yeah,
5 kids, God,
that's me.
that's crazy. We were talking the other day, and you had your baby monitor on. I was like, damn, you still got him on the baby
Oh
monitor.
yeah.
Whoa.
Sometimes I
No,
do.
that's
Like I don't have an office.
that's amazing.
Yeah, I don't have an office. Like when in 2020, well, my wife got pregnant in 2020, and unexpectedly we had twins. So that was number 4 and 5, and they took my office. So in 15 years, they're going to be listening to this podcast saying, "Oh, let's go listen to our dad." And I'm going to be complaining about them because they took my office. So sometimes I'll do Zoom calls from my bedroom, and got the baby monitor screaming.
Are you in your closet right now then, or what?
But
Or is there a baby crib right
Ben,
next
you
to
got
you?
to tell us about you. No, not today.
Yeah.
Tell us about you, though.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I know. Forrest.
Yes. I'll try to beat these 2 great resumes. Yeah, I'm a tattooer as well. Tattooing for, I've been creeping up on 24 years now. It's kind of daunting to think that a good quarter a century, right, of slinging ink. 14 of those years, just like yourself, Jeremy, have been owning a tattoo studio. But I found this not weird passion, but just this desire to help protect the tattoo industry when it came to, well, laws and regulations, right? And in 2013, whilst building a studio, really got involved with trying to navigate, just like anyone, like the regulations that we had in our state, right? We all want to just tattoo and enjoy our day, but then we got, health inspectors walking in and telling us things that they don't know shit about, right? So I wanted to get involved with that and try and help guide them, which through a series of just basically like getting voluntold, or at least like, hey, you should do this. And a series of events led me into sitting on a state board position, eventually, well, creating a state board through a legislative session, and learning a lot about those processes from the inside of state government. But being inside of state government, you realize how broken that all is. And so I learned a lot about what not to do. And I love what you were just saying a little bit ago, Jeremy, about being on the inspector side of helping industries kind of understand how to come into compliance. Because that's now my position. After getting out of the state and getting involved with the APT, the Alliance of Professional Tattooists, now a current board member, now I'm trying to step up and be the industry side communicator to the inspectors. That's literally been doing the last, well, back in once the pandemic slowed down and we kind of came back to reality, or some form of it, we, just like you said, there's these new federal laws that are coming out. Yeah, there's new reality we're in. These new federal laws are upon us. So trying to help be at the forefront of that, trying to be as we've navigated in other conversations, the protector of tattooing by standing at the front lines with the shield and ready to at least start the communications between our perceived enemy, which could potentially be regulations, we don't know, and be ready to fight if need be. And just recently, I had to put in an abstract. I was asked to go to the National Environmental Health Association's Body Art Model Code Conference and go and play games with them. Go play role-playing games where they want me to go and do role-playing with the inspectors and help teach them how to talk to tattoo artists. because they're terrified of us. Like they're scared when well, just like when AFTO, we went to that conference back in March. Do you
Yeah.
remember that? Well, they want me to do that
Yeah, in
in
Norfolk, yeah.
Pittsburgh next year, and try to teach
That's
inspectors
awesome.
that. So yeah. So I mean, tattooing is my love, my passion, husband and father. I got, yes, my wife's perpetually upset, but simultaneously she loves the shit out of me, and it's awesome to have her put up with me as a tattooer because God
Yep.
knows we're always abroad, we're always doing something, and we're always doing something that's distracting, but she's still there for me. My kids are awesome. I got kids old enough to pretty much take care of themselves almost. Um, but the idea of this podcast came from a lot of conversations that we were identifying through all these changes that are going on, especially this past year. Once this new federal law, and we keep mentioning it, the Modernization of Cosmetic Regulation Act, which is scooping and pulling tattooing into cosmetics officially, has stimulated this whole new awareness that we're not underground. We can't just ignore things, and that the government's going to step in and start
Yeah.
potentially over-regulating our products and potentially how we operate in the future. And so we've been having these conversations. We started off at Launchpad, right? We met Forrest, we met each other, and we started to engage with people around the country and their perspectives on everything. And then from there, we met some amazing people. And these amazing people maybe don't have the ability to share all their information with everybody. And I think that's the purpose of this, right? Is to like try and
Yeah.
bring these amazing people who have these unique skill sets, like Ryan Roy in financial management. Like I said, I'd love to get Mr. Abbott back on here. His business management is next level, right? Matt Hodel, Selena Medina, man, she's like a tattoo scientist, right? Be able to
Yeah.
share this
Or Jordan.
information with people. Oh God, right? Oh yeah, man. His like yeah, he's got a whole skill set, a whole world of knowledge that tattooers don't even understand. They don't even know we need yet, right?
Yeah.
One day we'll look back and like,
Yeah.
man, do you
But
believe we just sit there for hours and hours in weird angles? So yeah,
yeah, and what we were doing to
I
ourselves.
feel like
But you brought something up a minute ago.
oh man,
Um, well, a minute ago you were talking about your wife loving what you do, and that made me. Oh, Ben's frozen.
I
Ben,
can
are you
hear you.
there?
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
I hear you just fine.
It's just your video. Uh, so a minute ago you were talking about your wife. Yeah, definitely having those frustrations of how much you work and you're all over the place, but loving what you do. Then it made me picture uh, talking to my wife about my job and about my career. And I can talk to her about the shop and about like what's going on, and eyes are glazing over. She doesn't like. She might care, but it's not her world, so she's not that involved in it. But when I'm sitting on our couch and I'm watching TV while I'm drawing, I'll look over and catch her just watching me. And that's the creativity that I don't know why. Like, she just loves seeing that because I start to light up, right? I might be drawing and we're not talking, but I'm smiling because I'm creating something that really gets me excited. Uh, but when you talk about the purpose of this and what we're doing and bringing all these people together, I try to look at it as what in the future will stifle that creativity and prevent me from being able to do that work that makes me smile, that work that she sees as truly valuable for me. What will slow that down? And really, government overreach is one of the biggest things, but it's also all these other little things. Like you brought up Ryan. Ryan helps with financial management. If we don't keep our finances in order and be good stewards of our resources, then we're going to become more focused on having to make more money to pay our bills, and that takes focus off the creativity. Same thing with if your back starts hurting, if your hands start hurting, all of that gets in the way. If like I've had a mass exodus where half my staff quit at once. We'll talk about that a bunch, I'm sure. But talking to Russ, like Russ has good insight on how to run a good business. when you do that, it takes the pressure off the business and allows you to be more creative. It opens up that window and that door for you to be able to see why creativity gets you further. And I think that's really the true purpose of all this, even though we might not be talking technical tattooing application. We might not be saying, oh, this is how you draw better. We're looking at all the other things that impact our lives as tattooers.
Oh yeah, I love that. I love it, man.
Yeah.
No, you're right. I mean, that's what really can suck the life out of it. Like if you sit down, I get to like, man, no, no, no problems with it. But like this morning, I've been working on this portrait. I'm making it for my wife, right? And like I was like, yeah, I want to work on it this morning, but oh man, I gotta get ready for this podcast, and I gotta get this ready for this trip I'm going on. Like we have all these other things that can really suck out that like all I want to do is draw.
Yeah.
I just want to sit around and draw. And
Yeah.
I think as we learn better habits, and that I hate the word or work-life balance, right? People say like, oh, you got to find this work-life balance. There's never balance, right? It's just finding the appropriate times to do things. But through bringing people in that could help us know how to stress less on finances, stress less on business, stress less on regulations, will give us more freedom for
everything.
for us to pretend like we can draw, because I'd love to eventually get into how we won't need to draw one day because there'll be just computers that do it for us.
Yeah.
Our clients won't even ask for artwork. They'll just say, can you put this on me? Because we know that's
I did
coming
have somebody
too.
bring in an AI sleeve yesterday.
Oh, shite.
Yeah.
Was it cool?
Yeah, I had a client.
Was it?
And he came to me definitely wanting my style. And he showed it to me, and I was the first thing I told him was, "Man, I can't match AI. I can't beat it. Like, I'll draw you something that's like out of my head, but I can't keep up with that." And fortunately, he understood that, and that's great. But how long is it going to be before people say, "I know, like this did it better than you," and we don't want your stuff. Like, keep your stupid little cartoons. Like, do this.
Well, we dabbed on this a little bit before in the kind of the prerequisite that some people will want that, right, that human created aspect.
Yeah.
But I think it's like having conversations like this that kind of keep the conversation going, that that we don't completely lose contact with the next generation of collectors. We don't lose contact completely with the future Forrests, and they end up just going like, oh yeah, I just get my artwork designed by an AI program. Like you'd be appreciative of getting tattoo work from Jeremy Miller or Bob Tyrell, or insert tattoo artist's name, right? So I think it's important that we keep these conversations, start them and keep them going. Do you guys like watch a lot of other podcasts, like tattooer podcasts that are out now? Are you guys paying attention to any of those?
I've been watching, not the whole thing, but catching the little snippets of Honest Tattooing, and I love those guys. I did listen to Tattoo Guardians, but I don't think they put a new one out in quite some time. But there's a few more that just kind of here and there picked up little different ones. But I just love the conversation around it all. What about you?
Yeah. No, same thing. I catch those snippets of the Honest Tattooers, and good dudes. I did get an interview with them earlier, and like I think when they were kind of still new, you told me about them, Jeremy. So we reached out and connected, and we did a virtual version, which they don't like to do. Which we were honestly spent most of the time navigating technical issues, and I think maybe only like 20 minutes of the conversation got recorded. But good group of dudes. They were really. Really nice, really polite, apologizing the whole time. Love to make my way out to New York one day, and we should go there and visit them. And I haven't seen a Guardians in a minute either. But I mean, I know there's a couple other ones, and I'm just curious what the conversations they're surrounding and talking about, and if there's a thread that's going through them, because I think these are. Like any sort of podcast, any sort of communication, it's just us discussing the vibes of the industry, like what's going on and what's affecting us today. What are our concerns for tomorrow, and what can we do to improve them or at least avoid them, right? Avoid negative issues. So, uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I'd be
I
down to
see.
do some
I
recon.
like the Honest Tattooer podcast because, well, yeah, man. I like theirs because I feel like they are really trying to take the honest approach, like they say in the name, right? They want to just talk about it. But a lot of the stuff that I keep seeing isn't necessarily podcasts or even conversations, but it's like a lot of the TikTok kind of culture where you've got like a short 30-second video and that's really all you're getting from someone talking about their own life or just talking to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And in that, I see a trend of a lot of complaining. A lot of people really complaining about being slow
Mm-hmm.
or about not being able to do the style they want, or even just about how hard tattooing is. But that drives me nuts because, yeah, it's hard. It's not supposed to be easy, but it's such a rewarding
Mm-hmm.
career intrinsically when you get this motivation for just being able to live your life as a creator. There's the whole old adage of like the starving artist. We are
Mm-hmm.
not that. Our version of starving is that we didn't get to eat out for all 3 meals today. We had to bring our lunch one day. Like that's not starving. Like we're still able to
Mm-hmm.
pay our bills and make good money,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a whole lot of complaints and simultaneously a lack of hustle. And I think that's a taboo
Mm-hmm.
word now. You can't
Mm-hmm.
say hustle, but really,
Oh,
like
what
get
about
out, work.
grind?
Yeah.
No, no, that's terrible. Don't say that.
Uh,
Yeah, but I
what
don't
does
know.
that mean?
I feel like
Uh,
it's creeping in.
mhm. No, you're talking about
But
just that. That's always been tattooing, right? It's a hard craft. Uh, Parts of the year are
yeah,
slow, parts of the years are not, and you're always trying to do something cool, but you got to pay your bills. And I don't think this has ever changed. It's just
yeah,
how we're taught to deal with it now, how we're able to process
yeah,
it, right? And you can see this. That's another conversation I think we'll have, is that divide between the older generation and the newer generation of basically the more rough and tumble, using words like
yep.
hustle and grind and just suck it up, versus, ow, it hurts, I don't like it, when do I get, like, just give it to me kind of thing.
Oh,
There
we're gonna
needs to
get
be some
canceled,
sort of
man.
like, hey man, like, nothing's permanent.
Yeah.
We're not getting paid. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, no,
That'll be
I
my
can see us
second
having some
canceling.
good conversations
Oh
and
man.
navigate this, because it needs to be honest too. Obviously to a degree that's not offensive,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, we talked about Matt. Throwing out a quick list of folks like I briefly mentioned. Russ Abbott's shown interest. Selena Medina, Ryan Roy, Jordan Signorelli. I know that like even Mike Chambers would be cool to kind of get his perspective. I love that the sober tattooer life mentality. Even getting some like Sean Brown, like we should get him in here, man, and talk about
Yeah.
what's going on the high level and the manufacturing side. Even
Yeah. I
been
think
chatting
Sean
with
could
Big
talk about
Sleeps and
actual
such.
manufacturing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Why don't we
No.
hit real quick on what the summit is, what it actually
Mm,
means. I don't think we
hmm
said that.
hmm That's good. It's good you
So
brought that
you
up,
take it.
because yeah, yeah. No, it's funny, man, because that's where I feel like this is carving that out. Again, man, like,
Yeah.
I don't know what next year's going to look like, technologically, economically. We have, so just, the setting and the scenario, the scene is July, well, 9th through the 14th. There's going to be a tattoo convention called the New Mexico Tattoo Fiesta in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And in it, we are going to be hosting several days of seminars. And, what I mean, not knowing what's going to look like, is it going to be an in-person event, which obviously there'll be people there, but how virtual are we going to make it as well? Because with
Yeah.
the just vastly accelerating technology, and people's ability to digest information virtually and digitally would be could be how we push and engage people to go to it, right? Like whether it's like instead of hey, get your ticket and go there, or hey, on this date, book your or mark your calendars and hop online and such. But yeah, essentially, we're
Yeah.
creating a space to bring a lot of speakers together to culminate and cooperate and provide a story, if you will. I love your analogy, like what reading a book, and each chapter builds upon a story of the tattooer's life, business,
Yeah.
career, all the aspects of it. I think one of the selling points for it will be unlike other speaking or continuing education conferences for tattooing because it will be curated. It will be
Yeah.
it'll be organized, right? It'll be prepared. Each speaker will be succinct and trained, right? We're going to go and approach it like a TEDx, where there's going to be
Yeah.
preparation for those presentations. There'll be a lot of synergy throughout it. You're not gonna get the same thing from each
Yeah.
person. You're gonna get golden nuggets from each person, and that way you can add that to your toolbox for your tattoo career. And from I'd love to get
Yeah.
some tattooing techniques in there, but like we said, from health to fitness to finance to all the aspects of it. So that's what the summit is, right? And what it's
And
going
it's
to
in
look like
conjunction with
exactly.
the tattoo convention.
Yes, yeah, exactly. That's
But
the first
it's
3 days,
does
and
not
then
overlap.
finish up. No,
Yeah.
nope, no. Good point. Yeah, the we have spaces reserved Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, leading up to the tattoo convention, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So it's all the attendees
Yep.
won't have to choose seminars over tattooing. And if anything, I believe that the
Yeah.
theme I'd like to really discuss, and this is something we could push through the year, is to how to make the most money at the New Mexico Tattoo Fiesta for all the attendees, right? From making sure that you're
Yeah.
take care of your body to promoting yourself right for the show to putting your money in the right place the whole time, like how to basically go through this 3 days of training and optimize that 3 days at the convention, and how to really make the most out of it, physically, monetarily, spiritually, network wise, right? Come away with the most
Yeah.
out of a convention, because we know, when we go to shows and we're in that arena, we're in that isolated energy of just excitement. It just skyrockets our career. It skyrockets our motivation.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's usually like those little evolutionary quantum leaps that take us to that next level. And also,
Yeah.
essentially, that's the idea,
Absolutely.
man. Is to create that launch pad, that launching
Yeah.
pad.
I find that after Yeah, I find that after every convention I do for the next week I do the best work I've ever done. It's if I go to a
Mm-hmm.
convention where there's really that good vibe, then I'm doing great work there at the convention. Like I was just in France last weekend at the Avion convention, surrounded by these incredible artists, people that have been tattooing longer than me, people that have just started tattooing, but all just amazing energy in this place around that creative vibe. So the tattoos that I'm doing are, I feel like for me, they're stepping it up a notch. And then I get home and I look at this tattoo that I'm about to do yesterday, and I had it this big, and I said, you know what? No, let's make it huge. And instead of doing a one shot like I normally do, I blew this thing up, and now it's a friend of mine. His name's Yogi. He's a great tattooer here in Austin. He's got this gigantic Game Boy rib panel that we started and lined out instead of doing that single shot 3 hour 4 hour tattoo. That poor guy is now going to suffer through 10 hours. But it's stepping it up for me, and it's not something that I would have done if I had not been at that show around these people that are inspiring me to push myself artistically and creatively. So I think
Yeah.
with this, even when you look at like conventions in the past, I've always told my artists, like, I want you to do seminars. I give all of my artists in my shop $1,000 a year towards any kind of continuing education. They do it, give me the receipt, I'll pay them back for it. They don't always take me up on it, but the offer's there. We go to Detroit every year for the Motor City show, and Nobody ever takes any seminars because they're always at the same time as the tattoos that they're supposed to be doing. So it's make money
Yep.
or learn a little bit. And when you spent $3,000 to get there, you got to make some money back. So I feel like doing all of these, it's a collection, if you will, of seminars that are organized in a strategic fashion to really have the most impact and the most value leading up to the show, not overlapping on top of the show, gives artists the ability to suck up as much knowledge as possible in an environment of giving back and of learning, and then take those things they learn and apply them at the show or when they go home. Right? I think it gives the best of both worlds for everybody. So I'm stoked about it.
Yeah, no, yeah, 100% agree, and I think that's that we've all navigated that, and I'm glad you identified it, and definitely, I look forward to seeing this giant Game Boy rip panel too. It sounds like it's going to be an epic tattoo.
It's huge. Poor guy.
Well,
he whined a lot, but he sat like a rock.
Nice. That's awesome. That's pretty dope. Cool. Well, I feel like maybe we could kind of navigate into like why I really want to talk about, the title real quick, just about Nothing's Permanent, because it even though it was at first kind of a working title, it wasn't something I created. It was actually a title my friend Carlos did, who's going to help us kind of get all this podcast information or podcast recordings onto all the other podcast platforms. It really resonates because, nothing's permanent. Tattoos, we believe they're permanent, right? We consider them permanent. They're actually more permanent than we are, right? We know that our bodies regenerate every 8 to 10 years, and our cells are constantly dividing and changing, and that the ink molecules are being held into place by our immune system, our macrophage, right? And it's older than we are, but it's only as permanent as we are, right? And we're all temporary beings, we're all going to eventually return to the dust. And it kind of plays into, the fact that this is a temporary podcast. This is built specifically just to bring value and bring attention and bring awareness to this event upcoming, and really give those that maybe need a platform to speak from. And, who knows if anyone's going to watch this or not, like if not, it doesn't matter, because I think it's just a good practice for us to share, commune, and document these conversations, because moving forward, who knows, man, this information can be passed down to folks who can really use it to improve, their life, their career, their craft, and get some sort of waypoint that they maybe not had gotten before.